Not merely an ordinary book left to gather dust on library shelves. Rather, it was the strict constitution, the law, that ruled the medical profession across an entire continent for 5 consecutive centuries. Imagine this scene with me. We are in medieval Europe, from the far reaches of Spain, touched by the light of Andalusia, to the cold castles of Germany. No doctor or surgeon dared to practice their craft or even touch a patient without basing their work on a single reference. For them, this reference was the lighthouse in the darkness of ignorance and the only comprehensive medical school available. This great book, which laid the foundations for sound medical practice, was the Canon of Medicine, al-Qanun fi al-Tib. Its author was the man they titled the Prince of Physicians, Abu Ali al-Hussein ibn Sina, Avicenna. Yet, in a stunning historical paradox that is almost unbelievable, at the very moment this reference sat sacredly upon the thrones of their prestigious universities like Salerno, Bologna, and Montpellier, its fate in the squares of other European cities was no different than that of books on sorcery and witchcraft, the fate of the consuming fire. The deep question we will attempt to answer today is not merely how did Ibn Sina's science reach the heart of the West, but the more dangerous question, why did they issue a death sentence to burn this man's heritage publicly at the exact moment their lives and the lives of their children depended on his medical prescriptions? To understand the magnitude of this book, we must first take a terrifying look at the state of medicine in Europe before its arrival. European medicine was crushing under the weight of superstitions and primitive explanations. Reliance was primarily on the texts of the ancient Greek physician Galen, texts which, despite their historical importance, were full of anatomical errors because they relied mostly on dissecting animals, not humans. The human body was a forbidden mystery. Illness was interpreted as divine punishment or a glitch in planetary alignment. Surgery was a brutal task performed by barbers, not doctors, with a survival rate that was incredibly slim. In this pitch darkness, there was a desperate need for someone to gather the scattered fragments of knowledge, purify them, and present a practical guide to save humanity from senseless death. And here, Ibn Sina appeared. Ibn Sina was not merely a passing figure. He was a rare cosmic phenomenon born in the embrace of the golden age of Islamic civilization, specifically near Bukhara in 980 AD. We're talking about a child with supernatural intelligence that astounded his elders and teachers. He didn't just memorize the entire Quran before the age of 10. He then dove deep into Greek philosophy, logic, and mathematics. It is said that he read Aristotle's Metaphysics 40 times until he memorized it by heart, yet he only understood it with the help of a book by Al-Farabi, upon which he prostrated to God in gratitude and distributed alms. But medicine for him was not a difficult science, as he described it himself. He began practicing at 16. Due to his brilliance, he was summoned to treat the Sultan of Bukhara, Nu ibn Mansur, for an illness that had baffled the greatest doctors. As a reward, he asked neither money nor gold. He asked for one thing: access to the Sultan's private library. There, among thousands of rare manuscripts, Ibn Sina's encyclopedic mind was formed. And from the womb of this genius, through a life full of travel, political escape, and even imprisonment, the encyclopedia, the Canon of Medicine, was born. What made this book a miracle? The Canon was not just a compilation, it was a comprehensive restructuring of human knowledge. Ibn Sina divided his work into 5 massive books covering everything from general medical principles to singular drugs, diseases specific to an organ, diseases affecting the whole body, and finally, compound drugs. Ibn Sina is the one who established the rules of quarantine to isolate those with infectious diseases, a principle that later saved millions. He was the first to accurately describe meningitis and distinguish it from other brain diseases. He discovered airborne infection and explained the effect of psychological factors on the digestive system. He even established a strict protocol for testing new drugs, what we call clinical trials today, hundreds of years before Europe knew of it. Simply put, he presented the first foundations of modern medicine within the framework of the Middle Ages. With the beginning of the 12th and 13th centuries, through the active translation movement in Toledo, Spain, and through Sicily, the canon began to seep into Europe. The great translator Gerard of Cremona and his peers transferred this treasure into Latin. With lightning speed, the canon displaced all other references. Emerging universities in Paris, Oxford, and Bologna found exactly what they were looking for. The book was stunningly organized, logical, and easy to teach. Ibn Sina became the grand master, and his word was final in any medical dispute. It reached the point where the title of doctor was not granted unless one had mastered the texts of Ibn Sina. By the middle of the 13th century, the church and traditional religious institutions began to feel terrified, not of Ibn Sina the physician, but of Ibn Sina the philosopher. His philosophical works had also been translated, carrying rational ideas that were dangerous to the church doctrine at that time. Ibn Sina spoke of the eternity of the world, the nature of the human soul, and the active intellect, using a style based on logic and rational proof, not mere religious transmission. A movement known as Latin Averroism, or those influenced by Ibn Sina and Ibn Rushd, Averroes, began to spread among university students, threatening the spiritual authority of the church. The contradiction was bitter. They desperately needed his science to heal their bodies, but they viewed his philosophy as poison for their souls. Therefore, ecclesiastical decrees were issued, especially in Paris in 1210 and later in 1277, banning the teaching of his philosophy, and book burnings were held in public squares. They wanted to separate the body from the mind, so they took the medicine and burned the philosophy. But did the fire win? History gives us a decisive no. Despite the burning of philosophical books and the fierce attacks, the Canon of Medicine remained steadfast, taught at the University of Leuven in Belgium and the University of Montpellier in France until the mid-16th century. That is, 6 full centuries after his death. They managed to burn paper in a moment of anger and fear, but they never succeeded in erasing the trace of the man who taught them how to be doctors. Ibn Sina remained, despite the bonfires, an integral part of all human civilization. If you enjoyed this video, share your opinion with us in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to receive all our new content.